All right, let's start off by saying Barak Tehawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is You Women Will Submit. Now, this title just came to me. I was trying to come up with a title for this lesson. The Elder Kanak and myself were on our way to pick up some fall jackets. And he was playing a brother's video. I don't remember exactly what brother that was. But what he was playing in that video was the Isaiah the 32nd chapter, but he was playing it in the GNT. And I don't have it here. I thought I had it, might have had it in my favorites. So you know what? Let me just try to open up another. And the reason why I want to read it in the GNT is because there was something that was said there in the GNT, the way that it was worded, that had me thinking of a certain situation with Yahushai. And I'm just kind of painting a picture. I don't want to just give it away right away. Just bear with me. I'm just trying to paint the picture so you could understand how it went down, because it was totally the spirit, because I wasn't thinking about that. It just so happened that, the spirit, the hell's going on here. The spirit at that moment when the brother that was reading the scripture in the NLT version read it, something just clicked in my mind, and then once that thought clicked in my mind, then I thought about Yahushai, and a gesture, I'll say like that he did to his disciples that started to put the whole thing together. We were just talking about it, and it was heavy. I'll share it with you in a moment. This is nope, it wasn't the GNT. It was not the GNT. So let me go to Isaiah 32. Let me see what other version it was. I should have checked it before we got started, but it's all good. It's all good. Those will I can find it. It might have been this one because I remember, but let me just see what else we got here. Just bear with me for a moment. All right, so let's go back up. All right, go back up here to the NIV. And I'm gonna explain what I the whole deal. So like it for the now, no, I know it may not seem like there's any clarity to it, but Lord's will, it'll be edifying. So the NIV in Isaiah 32 and 11, that was right. It says, "Tremble, ye complacent women, shudder, you daughters who feel secure. Strip off your fine clothes and wrap yourselves in rags." And I believe the one that he was reading said, wrap the rags around your waist or something like that. I forget exactly how it was worded. But when this was read, right, whatever version it was, it made me think of, which like I said, totally a spirit. It made me think of, how servants would, clothe themselves or set themselves up to serve somebody, you know. And immediately what came to mind was what Yahushai girded himself, you know. Um, let's see, let me type in the word girded. And what did he do? When he girded himself, he washed the disciples' feet. So pretty much these women are going to go from that careless, complacent, you know, fine living, or what they consider fine living, nice clothes, you know, perfume, getting that nasty synthetic stuff put in their hair and all of that, to going back into submission. Because when you look up the word to submit, it's accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. And what's going to make that other person, which is an Israelite man of the elect, superior? The fact that the Lord said, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. And these women are this is why women try to, they have something called hypergamy, which means to marry up, pretty much in just in layman's terms. So the woman would try to marry the highest individual they could so that they could live good. So the Lord is going to bring these women into total submission, to where all that feminist ideology, all them demonic shit that was put in their mind, the serpent's venom, the juice that the serpent fed them, is going to go out the door, because it's not going to make sense anymore, because all they're going to be concerned with is survival. All right. And this is why the Lord is going to make them submit, make them humiliate them to the point where they have no other alternative but to completely submit. So the Lord is going to back these women into a corner, because Esau, their lover, is not going to provide for them anymore, because the Lord is making Esau pull back on that Gardenian pact. Right? So now check this out. This is in the book of, let me see, it's either Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Right here. St. John 13. I'm going to start at 1. The point is around 4 or 5. The Lord's Supper, right? St. John 13:1. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Yahushua knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. This is dealing with the elect. And the elect began with, of course, Yahushua, the Apostle Peter, and the other apostle, the other 10 apostles, which was 11 altogether, because Judas fell out. Then Mattathias came in, and then the men that they gathered, the women that they gathered, and also the Apostle Paul and the disciples that he gathered, and the, great cloud of witnesses, which are part of the elect. It says, and supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Yahushua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from the Most High and went to the Most High, right? So, he came to that conclusion, like this is my mission. This is what I had to do. Even though he went to pray one more time at the Garden of Gethsemane, to see if this cup could pass from him, because you have to remember the high stress levels that Yahushua was under, so much so that he started sweating blood. As one account states, I forget the name of it, something hema something, like, it was like a hemorrhaging, to where he was actually sweating sweat and blood because of the extreme stress he was under. That's why he told the disciples, I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I straightened until it be accomplished? Right? So this is what he said. He said, he rises from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. Okay? Now, let me look up. It was one of these words. that I had looked up. Like I said, it was totally the spirit. Nope, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. This is it right here. He took a towel. The word there's lention, right? Because when the brother read this scripture in Isaiah 32, right, and he read it in the, it had to be the NIV, where it says pretty much strip you and tie rags around your waist. It made me think of, well, that's the way that a servant would dress themselves in order to serve, and that's what these women are going, because these women are servants. The word woman means servant, female servant. Women are a possession, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in this society, it's been taught that that's wrong. That men, shouldn't be treating women like that, and women are not your slave. Yes, women are the slave. Why did the Lord have? What was the purpose of Eve? To be a helpmeet unto Adam. And the Lord said that He will rule over you. And this is why women don't have the ability to make decisions on their own. This is why either the father would make the decision or the husband would make the decision. Why? Because women are not good at making decisions like that. This is why you have so many single mothers out there. It's why you have, women out there, from the different tribes, especially Judah, that has 12 kids by 13 different men. I said it like that on purpose, but it's the truth, because these women cannot make decisions. This is why you had prearranged marriages, so on and so forth. And that goes into a whole another lesson on the customs of Israel and how the daughters were prepared, to serve their husbands. But in this society, it's taught that women should, pretty much should do whatever they want, lay down with whoever they want, and don't have to worry about the consequences, because the laws of Yahweh Bashem Shai are not upheld here. Therefore, there's no fear to commit adultery. There's no fear to commit, activity and other things, right? So going back here, the word for towel is lention. Lention is a linen cloth towel. And I didn't know this was here. The Spirit just had me look it up. And even the elder was like, we were like pretty much like our jaws dropped, like, wow. Because, the Spirit, say, yeah, these women are going to gird rags around their waist because they're going to go back to servitude. They're going to go back to submitting. They're going to go back to being a servant as they're supposed to be. Right. And then when I read this, we were just like, wow, our jaws dropped. It said, of the towel or apron with which servants put on when about to work. And this is why Yahweh Shai put on that towel around his waist, because he presented himself to his disciples as a servant. He said, you call me master, and well, it is, for I am your master, but I'm among you as one that serveth. So these women are going to go back to their servant state, what they were created for, to serve man. Inside joke, but that's what they're going to go back to, So it says, of the towel or apron which servants put on when about to work. So they're going to go back to subservience, as we read before, submit, right? Accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. And this is going to be the man, the elect men of the nation of Israel, because there's going to come a point where these women are going to look for protection. Matter of fact, let's go to the same chapter, Isaiah 32. Let's go to the second verse. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, meaning what? From this devastation that's coming, these hard times, the time of Jacob's trouble. And what man? The Israelite man of the elect. It says, and a covert from the tempest. Because when you have storms and these different hurricanes, what are people looking for? They're looking for a place that's stable enough to protect them until that storm or that hurricane or whatever the case may be passes. So the elect men of the nation of Israel are going to be, like frozen pillars no, like iron pegs in a frozen tundra. Inside joke, but they're going to be stiff because of and get your mind out the gutter. I ain't talking about that kind. Even though that's going to go down too. Salakia is the dove hour. But get your mind out the gutter and focus. It says, in a cover from the tempest, because the men are going to be strong pillars in this, in this trying time. And I'm talking about the elect men of the nation of Israel, beginning with the true prophets of Great Millstone, affiliate camps, and, and if there be any elect men out there of the other, groups out there, whether IECPK, IUIC, or any of the other groups that have elect men, which we believe they do, they're going to be those pillars in these trying times. Because remember, perilous times are coming. The time of Jacob's trouble is coming. So the men of the nation of Israel, of the elect, are going to be strong. They're going to be, the Lord is going to turn that spirit all the way up. And these women are going to run. They're going to give up that what's the word I'm looking for? That there's a word for it, entitled or entitlement spirit, and they're going to bow down. They're going to humble themselves before the men. It says, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in the weary land. So in all this hell and calamity comes to pass, this is why the Lord said, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. So when we read here in Isaiah 32:11 in the NIV, right, when it said for these women to take off their fine clothes and gird rags around their waist. Why? Because they're going to go back to that subservient ways, the way that a woman is supposed to be. Because Elder Pastor said this years ago. He said, women are not really rebellious, by nature, but they're rebellious to the Israelite man. And they're not really rebellious to Esau. Why? Because Esau is in power. So the Lord is going to turn up the spirit of the elect men of the nation of Israel, to be that power and that authority, whereby they have the ability to say, look, it's either my way or the highway. You want the protection, this is what's required of you. And if you can't fulfill that, then move on. That's why it says in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. They're going to do whatever it is that they have to do in order for them to be protected from this great storm that's coming, which is called Jacob's trouble, which we're in the midst of it already, but it's just going to keep turning up. We got today's October 30th. We got 2 days to the 1st, which is on Saturday, so by Monday, all hell could have broken loose, and they're calling these women are calling for, Jake to go to these different Walmarts and just, they can't catch all of us, go in there and take everything and then run out. Well, there was I don't know how true it is, but they said that all the Walmarts will be closed as of November 1st, and you have to do your shopping online. Now, whether that's true or not, we'll see. And that's going to cause a lot of, inconveniences to the workers at, Walmart and to the people shopping. Because these workers at Walmart are going to have to go through the whole of Walmart, mainly in the food section, and pick up all that stuff that these people are ordering online. And they're not going to be able to order it. Why? Because if they don't give them their benefits, then they're not going to be able to shop. So that's what's going to cause this Jacob's trouble, but it's going to cause, these Israelite women troubles. That's going to humble them, humiliate them to the point where they're going to have to lower that demonic spirit that they have in them, that entitled spirit, that feminist spirit, to go back to what they're supposed to be, which is a soft, loving, shamefaced woman. You see, and see, this is what happened. This is the ugly face that happens when you drink the serpent's venom. This is what happens when you trust in the devil. This is what happens when you look to this devil for power and to put yourself in a position where you don't belong. That's why Yahushua said, he that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So you women have been exalted in this society. You've been proud. And now this is the Lord's way of humiliating you, to bring you back to reality, to bring you back to where you're supposed to be as a servant under your man. You're going to submit. You will submit. There's no question about it. You will submit. It could be done the easy way or it could be done the hard way. But a lot of you women are not going to make it here in America, especially you cumbrella wearing, and if there's, any woman out there that's listening that may have those things on, but you're changing your ways and all that. This is not directed at you. This is directed at the majority. I say 99.9% of you women out there that fall under that category. All right. If the shoe fits, like we used to say at One West, take it off and get another pair. All right. So I want to read this, and then when we get to Isaiah 32 and 11, I want to pull out some of these words to give you like a better understanding, because we read that Yahushua, after supper, he took off his garment and girded himself with a towel. When we looked up the word towel, is the word lention. It's a linen cloth towel, the towel or apron with which servants put on when about to work. And like I said, when we read this in the truck yesterday, both our jaws dropped, because that was a sentiment that came to mind when I heard the brother read that scripture and said, tie sackcloth around your waist. So, oh shit, because that's the way servants, would serve their master. And all of a sudden, this scripture popped in my, oh shit, Yahushua girded himself with a towel, So I looked up the word towel as lention, of the towel or apron with which servants put on when about to work. So these women are going to be brought down to a servant state where they belong. And it's not that they're going to be humiliated to doing something that they're not accustomed, or that they're not supposed to do, because this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be subservient to their men. This is why the older women would teach the younger woman how to be a woman, how to conduct her household, how to raise up children, how to cook, how to clean, how to sew, how to clean the house, how to please their man. You see? So going back to Isaiah 32, rise up, you women that are at ease. Why? Because these women have been living a comfortable lifestyle here in America. You hear these women, daddy daycare took care of us. Thank you for being the daddy, and this, that, and the other, and this deadbeat and blah, blah, and this, that, and the other, But now they're coming to the realization that, the same daddy that helped raise their children is the same daddy that got the majority of these Jakes, especially the Judite men, in jail, being moles, dead in the streets, gangbanging with each other, continuing this vicious cycle. So the Lord is saying, rise up, you women that are at ease. Why? Because you've been careless. Like the scriptures say in Deuteronomy 32, Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. It says, hear my voice, you careless daughters. Because the prophets are out here telling you, but you ain't listening. Give ear unto my speech. And why ain't you listening? Because your lover, Esau, he's giving you your wine and your fine linen and your flax and your, and everything that you have to give you those comforts. But he's about to strip you, because it was only for a certain particular time that you were going to be fed by the serpent. Now the serpent is pulling the rug up from under you, and you don't know how to function because you don't have a man in your life, someone to take care of you outside of the gutment. You see, because women by nature are dependent on a man, are dependent on something. This whole independent bullshit, independent, that was all bullshit. You bought that shit. These women that talk about independent and hopping from one man to another, guess what? They're married. They have families. They have homes. So you were duped. You were bamboozled. You were hoodwinked. And now you're left out there in the cold. You're left there to meditate on on your life. You meditate on the decisions that you've made. And you're going to be not only just meditate on it, you're going to be put in a situation where you're going to have to submit. You're going to have to go back to what it is to be a woman. You're going to go back. You have to go back to sharing your man with other women. And guess what? If you don't have that mentality, you're going to be kicking rocks. Because some of you women, even that call yourself sisters, you know, you cool, you believe everything that the scriptures say, but when it comes down for your man to having another woman, you have a problem with that. Which shows you that you really don't believe. You partially believe. But guess what? When all hell breaks loose and you see that your man is that iron peg in a frozen tundra, like I said, inside joke, you know, then you're going to be like, you're not going to have any other choice. So it says, many days and years shall you be troubled. And I remember years ago, Elder Apostle Gabar went into this, days above a year or something like that. I forget exactly how he worded it. If the Elder Apostle, you know, might, you know, be watching this video, you know, maybe he can revisit that if he likes, you know. But it's going to be a certain period of time that you're going to be troubled. Why? Because this is the time of Jacob's trouble. It says, see here, you careless women, because you've been careless, you've been running carefree. And look at the product. Look at the product that has been, bro. Look at the condition that the so-called community is in for allowing you women to do whatever you want, to be free, to, you know, to lay down with whoever you want to just do whatever you want. Look at the product that it brought forth. Nothing but chaos and confusion, death, disease. The men locked up in prisons. Men being effeminate, moles, bisexuals. This is what happens when you buy into the serpent's, you know, lies. So you've been careless. And since you've been careless, you've been lacking. And then you're lacking, which you got from your mother, that she got from her mother, that she got from her mother. Look at the never-ending cycle of this madness that's created in the hood, mainly among Judah, because the other tribes they fucked up too, but the head tribe Judah is the most fucked up. The whole head is sick. So this carelessness of yours has brought the confusion and the chaos that it has in the so-called black homes and among the Judite, you know, families. So now you're going to be forced into submission. It says, for the vintage shall fail, right? All of that, you know, the gathering that you had, the gathering that you had and all that, it's gonna fail. It's gonna come to nothing. You know, I'm joined by the Elder Pishai.
Shalom.
You know, you got something you gotta do?
No.
You sitting there?
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you're gonna be brought back to you know, to reality, because, you know, you women have created nothing but chaos out here, you know, in the hood, as they call it. You know, and this is what happens when you're allowed to roam free. You bring nothing but chaos and confusion, and it's proven. Because you know, when the man was there, the structure of the family was better. You know, I mean, they still didn't have, you know, they didn't have the truth, but there was more order, more order in the family structure. Now that structure has fallen apart. And you calling men deadbeat dads, right? But who's been raising Jake out in the so-called ghetto for the last 3-4 generations?
Black woman.
There you go. You got it, bro.
Yeah, and that's the spirit. This is Titus chapter 2. I'm pretty sure you brought it
Beautiful.
out.
No. I mean, I thought about it, but I didn't bring it out.
Because one of the things that's missing, because what you had in the ancient world, you had etiquette school, where the woman was supposed to be the ones ordering the other woman on point. Right now, everything is all blamed to the man. But it's not a man's job to raise a woman, essentially. It was always the older. That's why we get this. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they may be that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, meaning the older woman is supposed to be the examples. Verse 4, that they may teach the young woman to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, right? Yeah. And that's what's missing. The older women are not, first of all, the older women are the ones that gave up, going back to the 60s. What was 70s. That? What was it called? When they got they gave them Section 8 and they kicked the man out the house. I forget what it's called exactly. The War on Poverty with Lyndon Baines Johnson and Martin Luther King. That was the agenda, to get the man out the house. So that's what their job, that they accomplished that mission. And then that's when these women started, okay, you independent. And then those older women that were back then, they taught the younger woman moving in the future to be in the same mind frame. You to go get an education and, be basically like a man, instead of you being taught how to be a wife.
Yep.
How to conduct yourself in the street. Again, going back to etiquette school. Right. The woman, you see that in particular movies like Handmaid's Tale.
Yep.
Where the woman, they teach them, okay, cross your legs like this.
Yep.
When they teach them how to deal with themselves during their cycle.
Yep.
How
to clean themselves.
All these things are missing. And it's gone. But this is what, going back to what you said, a part of the contract of
the Gardenian Pact. Yeah.
Yeah. The devil. What you call it?
Gardenian Pact.
The Gardenian Pact, yeah. Between Satan, right, and the woman.
Yeah.
And this is the result of it. Everything is out of order. Well, that was it.
No, read
verse 5.
4 and 5, yeah. I know you read it, but read it again.
That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home.
Right.
Yeah, now you got always one with passports. The scriptures talk about
passport hoes.
Yeah, passport hoes. Yeah,
you got passport bros and passport hoes.
Right. Because nowadays, that's what these are. You got your passport. That's what these women are all about. Want to travel from country to country, but you don't know how to take care of a house.
Yep.
You don't have the structure of a house. You don't understand the order of a house. Because back in the ancient world, when things were more in order, a man had a harem. There was a ranking system. There was that was the job of a woman.
Yeah.
That's why the scripture tell you when a woman was born, she was called a handmaid. And you had a manservant, that was a young boy, and then you had the younger woman, which were handmaids. Why? Because their occupation was around the house. Like for instance, when 2 examples. When Jacob saw Rachel, what was she doing? She was tending to her father's flock.
Yeah.
And then the exchange was for Jacob to work, and then he get the woman. So what? So she can work for him. That's always how it's been.
Yeah, that's why women had chores.
Right.
And that was the job of the older women. The aunties and the mothers and the grandmothers. But now these mothers and aunties and mothers and grandmothers all teach their daughters and granddaughters in order to just be hoes.
Right.
Play the field. Don't settle for the first one.
Run the
streets. And then what that causes, it causes a lot of problems, because every time a woman lays down with a man, the DNA of the man stays within them. That's why they have so many different personalities, because they have they got demons on them.
Yeah.
You got any more?
Yep. It says, good, obedient
Mm.
to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemed.
Obedience.
And this is mainly for you, the sisters out there.
Yep.
You know, sisters that have men of the Lord. Well, even if you don't, you're still supposed to be obedient. You know, of course, if your husband is not telling you something to do wicked, you know, you're supposed to still be obedient to your husband.
Yeah.
So that what? You are in the proper representation of the gospel, of
There
the
you
word,
that
of
the
the kingdom.
That the word don't be blasphemed.
Right, that the word don't be blasphemed. You know?
I got the word for what was the last word there? Obedient.
Okay.
It's a hupotasso, to arrange under, to subordinate, to subject.
Yeah.
And I read the definition of submit, which is the same. Oh, wait a minute. It says, put in subjection, to subject oneself, obey. These women ain't trying to submit to one's control. See, now here in the regular definition for submit is accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. That's right there. You know, so you're going to be forced to accept. You're going to be forced to yield. You're going to be forced to surrender to the superior authority of the elect men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai.
That's right. That's right.
Because then you got
that's going to be the only men left.
That's it.
You know, the scripture tell you in the last days the men shall be like women. So who you going to lean on? You know, that the way Esau Edom is about to roll and the way he's going to terrorize the whole earth. Only thing that's going to be left is the men of the Lord. You know,
that's it. Right. So now, since you said that, because it said that the aged women, would teach the younger women, right? So when we go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 and verse 14, it says, a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. A mind well instructed was the sons were brought up under tutors,
right,
to learn the business of their father, learn the business of the family. The women were under tutors, the other women to what? To learn how to be women.
Yeah.
How to by the time a woman was around 7, 8 years old or so, she knew how to cook, she knew how to clean, she knew how to sew.
Yeah.
She knew how to run the household.
Right.
She knew how to take care of her younger siblings.
Yeah.
So it was like nothing. Like, okay, like I could let her do this, then I got room, I got time to do something else. And that is the benefit of having, more than one woman.
Right.
Because they could help each other, in the household chores. And then when one is on the rag, you still got another one where you can, handle
your business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because here it is, you got a woman on the rag, you can't deal with them. Then if you burn it, what you supposed to do? Then if she's pregnant, right, and she has a boy child, that's 40 days that she's unclean until you could have sex with her again.
Right.
And if it's a daughter, it's 80 days.
Right.
So what you supposed to do in the midst of all of that?
Yeah.
This is why the Lord set it up like that for a man to have more than one woman, because that's practical.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely.
And that's why women say, well, if a woman has more than one man, she's a hoe. But if a man has more than one woman, that's an accomplishment. Yeah. Because that's the way the Lord set it up.
Yeah. Yeah. They say a key that opens up many doors is a master key, but a lock that's opened up by many keys, that's a shitty lock.
Damn.
Who the hell wants a lock that can be opened up by every key?
That's it.
But everybody wants that master key.
She will open up her quiver to every arrow.
Every arrow, right?
Because a woman's the most valuable thing a woman has is her virginity.
Yeah.
And this is why it was so important for her parents to protect that, especially the father.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I believe it's here in the same chapter where it speaks about, or it might be the 42nd chapter. It speaks about the father, losing sleep.
Yeah, to marry his daughter.
Right.
Yeah. That was like a heavy weight off of him.
Right, because if she got caught, lacking, right, and if she got caught with a child, in his home,
Right.
that was a shame to him. Even though he could have probably did all the right things to train her up and bring her up the right way. And this is why you had tutors for the sons, and you had tutors which were other women or older women that would teach the younger women how to behave. But in this society, that's missing. It's gone. It's a lost art. So now the Lord is going to bring that art back, but he's going to bring it back through humiliation. He's going to bring it back through submission. You're going to have to subject. You're going to have to submit. You're going to have to tap out. There's no other way around it. Because if you don't, guess what? You're going to be left out there in the cold.
Well, this one says,
where you at?
Sirach 7. Make sure.
I know there's one in either 26 or 42, but what let me know where you're at and I'll grab it.
It says 7. Yeah, verse 20. Well, it started 23.
You got it.
Yep. Hast thou found children? Instruct them and bow down their neck from their youth.
Beautiful.
And that's also in the book of Ezekiel. He said, for the teach your daughters lamentation.
Yep.
A lot of times the problem with these women out here is that it be the daddy's girls too, because their daddies are not teaching them hardship.
Right.
They're pampering them, letting them get away with things.
Yep.
So by the time they come across another man, it's like, well, my daddy didn't allow. Well, I got away with this with my daddy. You supposed to be like, no, that's not how it goes.
Right.
But when they teach them hardship, they understand why a man is so stern with a woman, why he does instruct her.
Yeah, because a woman is like, if you don't give a woman chores, if you don't, keep a woman in subjection, she's going to be like that wild bronco that just goes out there and just, running loose.
Yeah.
This is why it says, give not a wicked woman liberty to get abroad.
Right.
And then in the same chapter, Ecclesiastes 26, it says that at least she abused herself through overmuch liberty.
Right.
Come. You got it.
Yep. It says, hast thou daughters? Have a care of their body.
Beautiful.
And show not thyself cheerful toward them.
Right. Like the scripture also say, cocker not thy son.
Right.
At least he brings shame upon thee.
Right.
Because you're supposed to be hard on your children. And it's not for, because it's abusive. It's because, you want them to turn out to be good children, because whatever they do is going to reflect on you and your family name.
Yeah.
Those are the Shelbys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. It says, marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter.
Right.
But give her to a man of understanding.
Right.
And that's why you have these pop the balloons and all this, or you have these women, you see their mind frame and they don't know how to pick a man.
There you go.
Because it was part of the man's duty as being the father to work out the contract of a marriage of a woman.
Right.
That's, this is why you have that segment in a marriage where the father's supposed to walk the woman down the aisle. Mm-hmm. But before that was supposed to be a discussion, a council about the next business move between those two families. And they show you that in the movie. Remember, Godfather, the first one, when he saw Apollonia, and then remember he was like, we saw your daughter in the street. Remember, he brought her out, yoked her up. But then he told him to translate. He said, "Look, I want to court your daughter."
Right.
And then he allowed them, and the two families came together. They were walking. And then they got to know one another. And then he allowed the Godfather in that region. He allowed Michael to marry Apollonia. Yeah, because he went about it the right way. Exactly. He approached the father. He had respect. He didn't just go to the woman. Right. He went to the father. And he went about it the right way. Yeah. And then the father, when he talked to him, he picked up on his character. Right. Because the father is going to take care of his daughter, because that's his daughter. He loves his daughter. He wants the best for his daughter. He wants to make sure she's taken care of. She could eat. She could live, whatever. Yeah. So he wants a man that can take on that responsibility and treat his daughter like he would treat her. Yeah. But nowadays, Jake hate each other so much.
Yep.
You know, you come around a man's daughter, he automatically giving you the evil eye. I never understood that, man. Like, what do you think this is, bro? Why don't you just have a conversation with him just to fill him out, just to see if he's worthy or not?
Yeah.
You know, instead of, oh, we got to threaten him, act like we're going to beat him up or whatever.
Yep.
It's just bugged out.
Yep.
You know? It's bugged out.
That's it. So I got some. You had some, that was it, right? No. You had more?
I'll read verse 26. It says, Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not, but give not thyself over to a light woman.
Right.
Yeah, that was it.
Give not thyself over to a light woman. Now I got Ecclesiastes 42 and 9. It says, the father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care of her taketh away sleep when she is young. Why? Because when a woman is young, and this is why when a woman gets to a certain age, 11, 12 years old, her body starts to change because her body is getting ready for her to have children. And then when her body starts to change, her hormones start jumping and she starts getting those feelings, because that's the Lord's way of getting man and woman ready to be fruitful and multiply. That's why when you're younger, your hormones are hopping and jumping, you know, because, you know, that's the best time to have children.
Yeah.
Because when you have children at a younger age, they're usually more vigorous and stronger than it is when you are a lot older.
Yeah.
You know?
And the woman's organs are more healthier.
Yep.
So she can handle she can handle the process of the pregnancy.
Yeah, better. Yeah. Especially back then.
Yeah.
It says, the care of her taketh away sleep when she is young, lest she passed away the flower of her age, which is what? Her virginity, right? And being married, I'm sorry, the flower of her age would be her period.
Right.
You know, and
that's
once yeah. No, well, once her period comes, that proves that she's a woman now, that she's ready to bear children. That's why they'll get pregnant at 11, 12, 13 years old. You know, it says, and being married, least she should be hated. Why? Because, you know, she didn't know she didn't have that she doesn't have the token of her virginity. And, you know, the man, when he popped this, said, this woman ain't no virgin.
Right.
She been, you know, she had another man before.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's in that scripture, Isaiah 4:1, Apostle Paul brought out that reproach.
Yeah.
To a woman not being married.
Yeah.
You know? Which is the word reproach is a shame.
Yeah. Yep. You know, because a woman's body is made to have children. If a woman can't have children in this society, they call it a blessing.
Right.
But really, it's a shame.
Yeah, it is.
In the ancient world, women were shamed. You know, that's why Hannah, she was older.
Yep.
You know, she couldn't have any children. Eventually, the Lord blessed her.
Yeah.
Elizabeth. She was way older. John the Baptist's mother. She was way older when she had, you know, but the Lord took away her reproach by allowing her to get pregnant.
Yeah. Sarah,
yep, same thing. Sarah was what, like 90? You know? So it's man, you know, this society is fucked up.
Yeah.
It says, in her virginity, verse 10, least she should be defiled and gotten with child in her father's house. That was a total shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's why the father, you know, he's like looking for the right man, you know, to marry his daughter off, because he knows that she got those feelings because he was young and his woman was young at one time.
Right.
You know, and then if she mess around and deal with somebody down, you know, in a neighborhood and gets pregnant while she's still under his roof, that's like damn.
He didn't complete the mission.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And then that's a shame and reproach
on him.
Yeah. And throughout the cities. And this is why when, especially in the ancient world, when they show you an example of the book of Tobit, remember, even though it was Raphael, remember they asked him, who's your father? You know, that was a common question.
Right.
Amongst the
Jake.
people.
Yeah,
amongst Jake, who's your father? Who's
your,
because once we heard who your father was, we understood the morals and the you know, the integrity of that family.
Right.
So if that one little stain right there could damage your whole reputation.
There you go.
Of your lineage.
Right. And even you giving your daughter in marriage to that particular family.
Right. Exactly.
like the Shelbys.
Yeah. Con. Yeah.
It says, "And having an husband, least she should misbehave herself, and when she is married, least she should be barren, because the Lord can hold her womb."
Con.
It says,
Yeah.
"Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter." And this is what you have today in the hood today: shameless daughters.
Yeah.
They won't cover their shame. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog.
That's right. That's right. No regard for men, no regard for their fathers, even for their mothers.
Yep.
You know, just even the older generation. We were brought up back in the day, man. You know, I told the story before. My own family, my own brother, he threatened, to take me out because I, disrespected older people. Whatever the case is, that was a thing back then.
Yeah.
You couldn't disrespect no matter who they were.
No,
you don't talk to grown-ups like that.
That's right.
Now, so if you have a generation of women running around and don't respect their fathers, this is why you see them jumping up in men's faces and thinking that they could beat men up.
Until they get...
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's his fault. And then I got to say this too, because I was meditating on this. We got to call a woman out, because that is the spirit of America.
Mm-hmm.
This is what all with America. If you're calling out America, you got to call out the woman.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way around it. And there's no coincidence that America in the scriptures is likened unto a whore.
Yeah.
The lady of kingdoms.
Yeah.
Because what has she done? Going around the whole entire earth, spreading forth this same lifestyle toward these other nations.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't want no part of it.
Yeah, and these Judite women, they exemplify,
the
that demonic feminine spirit of America.
Yeah.
And this is why, they had to be called out, like the elder said.
Remember Kamala Harris? She kept bringing out to be a part of her, whole candidate run. Megan Thee Stallion and, Glorilla and, that
degenerates.
That image.
Because that's the image that they push on these women, and that's all they know.
Right.
So that's what they aspire to be, because this been glorified, but that's shameful. Like if they was able to project back to the ancient world, they would see that as a very shameful thing.
Yeah.
And then they'll have their head way down. But in this society, it's lauded, it's praised.
Right.
Like you have like Little Kim and Foxy Brown and them talking about rhyming in their rhymes, talking about they got all kind of diseases, and that's like a thing to be glorifying. Just like Jake is a glory to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things that are shameful, they make it the standard.
Right. Or something to be glorified.
Right. Something to be glorified. Yep. So it says, verse 11, "Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughing stock to the enemies."
Yeah.
And
that's right. And then, because the scriptures tell you, pretty much, basically a nation of people is known by the conduct of their women.
Yep.
Whether or not, it's a standing place of order and structure. Because without order and structure, you can't go to war. You can't defend yourself if everything's out of order.
Right.
And that was also exemplified too, through Vashti.
Mm-hmm.
When Vashti, she disrespect Ahasuerus, and then they had that council. Everybody came together and said, "Look, you can't allow this to go on, man.
Yeah.
You're going to basically spring a disease throughout the whole country."
Yep.
So the woman being in order is a major part to a nation thriving.
That's it. Yeah, because when you have that, disorder, it causes the nation to decay.
Come.
And it starts little and then it increases and gets bigger. And you could see, like the, even just from the 70s, 80s until now, you could see a big change. At least back then, women were still wicked, but they had some semblance of modesty.
Right. Now
today, it's totally gone. These women are totally masculine. They're total turnoffs. They went from I'm talking about the Judite women. They went from the most desired to the most like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like you look at them now, it's like, damn, this what happened?
Yeah, it's a disdain.
Yeah,
it's a disdain. That's why you have passport bros.
Yep. And you get with them Hawaiian women and them Moabite women and the ocean women,
Yeah, because they're more feminine.
Yeah. They got long hair, They're not, they don't have clumps and lumps all over the place.
Right. You hit rottenness.
Oh Lord.
Nasty feet. Feet be all hard.
Crustaceans.
Yeah.
It says, and a byword in the city, like they've been putting out fucking forest fires with their feet.
Yeah.
It's and a byword in the city, see, and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude.
There you go.
Because a man's name was everything.
Yeah.
That was his reputation.
Yeah.
A good name is to be desired more than precious ointment.
Yeah. Because what does that ointment do? It puts you in a certain mind frame.
Yeah.
It's a certain aroma when you have a certain ointment.
Yeah.
It's like, this smells good. So a man, you hear a certain name of amongst the people, it's like it brought comfort. It brought it just gave you a good feeling.
Yeah, because you know you were in good company.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around somebody that's known or as a scumbag.
Right.
Because like PMD said in one of his rhymes, he said, because his father told him if he hung with 9 broke friends, he about to be the 10th one.
Yeah.
Like attracts like.
Yeah. Yep.
And even if you may not be like that, after a while, that shit is contagious.
Right.
It'll pull you into that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's why you see Jake the way they are today. They clone Tyrone.
Yeah. It's this disgruntled, pessimistic mind frame.
Yep.
Just everything's negative and everything's just
careless.
Yeah, careless. Like hell no, hell no, man. You can't. Hey, why do y'all watching y'all shot for the truth? And that's what hope is for.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scripture say hope deferred maketh the heart sick.
There you go.
When the desire cometh is as the tree of life.
Mm-hmm.
So hope, we have hope in the kingdom. We have hope of being renewed in the mind of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. That's what gets us going. We're alive through that. Yeah,
because this system is corrupt.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how, much you build up a community or whatever the case may be. There's always going to be scumbags. There's always going to be something there to destroy it.
Right.
Because, what Jake don't understand is that, look, you're under the curses. You can't escape the curses. Because you have these guys like Dr. Umar Johnson and others that are talking about building up the community and getting, funds to set up and establish their own, economic basis. But my question is, how many times has that been done? How many thriving cities that Jake have in America? I'm talking about Judah have in America. And what happened to them? They were all destroyed. Why? Because of the curses. You can't escape the curses. And Esau is not going to have that. Because it's always been destroyed by who? By Edomites.
Straight up.
So you had I couldn't even tell you how many thriving Jake communities you had where they had their own system. They had bus transit, they had taxis, banks, movie theaters.
And you know what they all had too? That church.
But one thing they didn't have, like Elder Pastor always says, they didn't have a military.
Come. None of them. Yeah, you gotta have a standing army. You gotta have a defense.
Yep.
And that's why the house of David was established. The house of David, when it was first established, it was a bunch of men. They were discontent. They were in the cave of Adullam, and they all came together, and that was basically the army. Mm-hmm. You gotta have an army first before anything else, and that's why you have the men of the Lord. Ezekiel 37. Okay.
The elder Malcolm said over 200. Tawada. Yeah, over 200. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So the economic basis is not gonna get that.
Right.
Because why is it you have over 200, I'm not just talking about just a little, I'm talking about big thriving communities.
Right. Yeah.
Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Right. Which was Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
You had Seneca Village.
Yeah. Hagerstown, Maryland.
Look at that.
That was one of the biggest ones. I mean, you look it up in history,
So what happened?
And it's all Edomites there now.
Yeah. But what happened? The curses.
Yeah. And also, too, going back to that army aspect, and this is why you have the men of the Lord now. You have to have an army first.
Yeah.
Any nation or any nation, any kingdom that was established, there was an army there. There was a military there. And this is what we're telling you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, all right, that what we're bringing forth is the spiritual army.
Yeah.
to bring in the kingdom.
So is the IUIC, the Purple Army, is that the army in Ezekiel 37?
Negative.
Negative, sir. I'm gonna say like a ratata. No.
Cut. You know.
So I'm gonna read this real quick, right? I'm gonna get a couple of these words, right? Isaiah 32:9. Rise up, you women that are at ease, hear my voice, you careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Matter of fact, let's look up this word careless, right? Because I want to look up a couple of words in the 11th verse, because that was like the whole, or the word there's batak, right? Which means trust, but then when you come down to the bottom here, it says to feel safe, be careless. So because these women feel safe, they feel, like they, they got everything. They don't have to worry. I always got, food stamps. Always got EBT. Always got SNAP. Always got Section 8, HUD, or whatever. They cool.
Yeah.
So they cause them to be careless.
Right.
So that's what the Lord said, rise up, because the vintage is going to fail. You're not going to get the goodies that you used to get. Now here in the verse 10, it says, many days and years shall you be troubled. I'm sorry, I read that already. I'll read it again. Many days and years shall you be troubled, you careless woman, for the vintage shall fail. The gathering shall not come.
Yeah.
Because the serpent is cutting you off.
Right.
They were only going to feed you for a certain period of time. Now they're cutting you off. It says, tremble, you women that are at ease. Why? Because you're going to go from this super comfortable position to having nothing. So that's going to cause you to tremble and shiver and shake.
Yeah.
It says, be troubled, you careless ones, strip you, make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Now, when you go to the NIV, I guess it was an NIV, it says, tremble, ye complacent women, shudder. Your daughters who feel secure, strip off your fine clothes and wrap yourselves in rags.
Yeah.
And when a brother read that, immediately I thought about, that was a spirit. The spirit like put in my mind, that's when you tie a rag around, that's a servant getting ready to serve his master. So the Lord is going to bring these women back down to where they're supposed to be, as servants. And then it made me think about Yahweh Shai when he girded the towel around him to serve his to wash the feet of the disciples. Right? I don't know if I'm gonna read that again. That was in just to catch you up on that. The word girded is in was that Luke? No, it was John, St. John 13. Right? Now check this out. St. John 13:4. He rises from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself because he was serving them, right?
Yeah.
Now check out what it says for the word towel. And this is before I even knew this. This is the spirit. I was chopping it up with the Elder Kanak, and both our jaws was like, because the sword says, wrap the rags around your waist, you careless woman. You all that fine clothes, put that aside.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to serve.
Now you're going back to that.
Yep. So the word there is lention, right? A linen cloth towel, of the towel or apron with which servants put on when about to work.
Right. So apron. Yeah. Apron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So servitude.
Yeah.
So they're going to get these women are getting prepared to serve their master. The man.
Yeah, that's straight up. Straight up. They're not the connection to the Heavenly Father.
Nope.
You need a man.
That's it. And not a man with sensitivity either.
Right.
All right, so right here it says strip you, right? Let's go to the word strip you. Right? And the word there for strip you is pashat. Pashat, right? It says to strip, invade, strip off, make a dash, raid, spread out. To strip off, put off one's shelter. So you're going to be stripped from that privileged position that you're in, that entitled position that you're in. That the man got to serve you, spirit. Right. You bought that shit, and that shit was totally off. Let's see how that's going to work out for you in the time of Jacob's trouble. So let's go back. All right, so it says strip you, right? Make you bare. The word for bare is irar, right? To strip, make bare, strip oneself, to be utterly stripped, to break. Right? So right here, the word raze, R-A-Z-E, that means to completely break down.
Mm.
Raise it, raise
Raise
it,
it. Yeah.
completely break down.
Yeah.
So you're going to be utterly broken down. You're going to be utterly humiliated to be brought back to your senses.
Well, that's how you rebuild anyway.
There you go.
You know, when there's a new foundation needs to be established, everything got to get torn down. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
You know, to become to be servants to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua.
That's right.
We had to be torn down. Our minds had to be transformed.
That's
So
it.
you woman, for you to make it, your mind got to be transformed too. But the difference between you and us is that we can get it through the spirit. You got to get it carnally.
There you go.
They got to feel it. They got to see it.
Oh yeah.
Once they see it, then that's when they're going to be able to really. We always say that.
Yeah.
You know that these women, they're really going to get it when that this deal go. When the deal is broken.
Yeah, because right now you still have provisions. You still have things that you could do to be sustained. But when you have nothing to sustain you, what are you going to do?
Right.
So right here, the word gird, I got two more words. The word gird is chagar, which means to gird on, gird oneself, put on a belt. So basically, you're going to put those rags around your waist and prepare to serve your master.
Right.
The elect men of the nation of Israel.
Man, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy, man. That's heavy because just like the same aspect of with the head being covered.
Yeah. Which is show the humility and show the subservience or subjection to your husband.
Right.
Yeah. So the last word here is loins, right? The word loins is chalataza. Right? Now check this out. Loins as seat of virility, like your nutsack.
Right.
As girded, and check it out here, as seat of pain, woman's travail. So you're gonna have to go to your servant status because you're gonna be in pain.
Yeah.
You're gonna be catching hell.
Yeah.
That's why it says 7 women shall take hold of 1 man.
Yeah. Anybody that is in a high regard and it got to get brought down low, it's not easy. It ain't comfortable. That's why even Yahushua said, surely shall a rich man enter to the kingdom of heaven. It's like a camel going through the eye of a needle.
Right.
That's a hard predicament. That's a hard position for that camel to get in order for him to, get down, crouch.
Yeah, because they're stubborn.
Yeah, it's stubborn. Yep. So but in order for that camel to do it, it had to be broken down. And that's just like these women. These women, they got to get broken down.
Yeah.
Mentally broken down so that you can see the bigger picture.
Yeah, and that's what the Lord is going to do with this whole reset. So I looked at the word travail because travail it ain't just a thing of a little discomfort. When the woman is in travail, she has those labor pains. She's giving birth, and that's like the worst pain.
Yep.
Right. So the word travail, painful or laborious effort. Right. Engage in painful or laborious effort. So pretty much you're going to be in a painful, laborious. You're going to be in such horror, pretty much. That's why it says how. You're going to be howling, pretty much.
Yeah.
Rise up, you women that are, howl for your miseries that shall come upon you.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I think I'm getting that mixed up with another precept. Let me make sure.
Yeah. It's painful for a woman to humiliate herself.
Yeah.
When she riding that high horse and she knows she got to do something outside of her comfortability, it's painful for her. But the real ones are going to do it. The other ones, you want to take the MOTB and then you're going to get cooked.
That's it, cooked. So the word tremble, right? The word tremble is charar, which means to tremble, quake, move about. It ain't just like a little nervous or a little cold. You're gonna be like shivering and shit, like from horrible fear.
Man, yeah. You got these women out here who think that they can get a gun.
It says here to be anxiously careful.
Yeah,
that anxiety.
Yeah. These women, you think you just gonna grab a gun and defend yourself and everything gonna be all right. Nah, that's not the case.
Damn, to drive in terror.
Yeah. Women don't know what to do in these sticky situations, and it's gonna get real terrible out here. To drive in terror because it's gonna get terrible out here.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be into a point where again the scripture tell you it shall be men like women.
Yeah.
So if the men gonna be in that mind frame, what you women gonna be doing?
Right. And you got to remember too that these women have been in such comfort.
Right.
A lot of them don't work. A lot of them, just sit at home, sleep as long as they want, get up whenever they want, eat whenever they want. They go from that to a highly stressed situation.
It's a culture shock.
Yeah.
It's a shock.
Shock and all.
Yeah.
You're going to get pummeled. Verse Isaiah 32:12, they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine, right? Because they're not going to be able to have all the goodies that they had. Everything here catered to these women. Child support, alimony,
Section 8,
welfare. You look, you don't, men don't get benefits like these women.
Well, even if you, like, as a single man, if you file for insurance, it's way higher than anybody else.
Right.
Because Esau knows that no one's coming to take care of you.
Yep.
So women, it's cheaper for them to get insurance because they typically have sympathy. People typically have sympathy for women.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel like, okay, this is a less of a risk for you to receive insurance.
Right.
And I know that firsthand, especially if for those out there, you don't got no children or nothing, nobody's there to take care of you. And that's why everybody, when they succeed, they, whatever they go through, they always everybody always come back to their mother and, oh, well, my mother, I gotta help my mother, The woman, they're in like more of a, vulnerable state,
Vulnerable. Let's see. Then that's pretty much the main point. You had any?
No.
He said they will squeal. I'm not sure what that is. Squeal. Oh, squeal. Squeal like a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll squeal like a pig.
It's gonna be a lot of hurt.
Oh yeah. No, it's gonna be some shit out here. So pretty much these women are gonna be brought back to their proper state. So with that, we pray that your brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time we say, Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.